afternoon. My name is Chris Somerville, and today I'm speaking to you about a very special occasion in my life. This special occasion is the birth of my daughter. The birth of my daughter is a day that I will never forget. Our day started like any other day, with normal morning activities and preparing for the doctor's appointment. As her mother and I started out to the doctor's office for the appointment that morning, we had a very calm morning and everything was going well. While at the appointment, her doctor had spoke to us about inducing her labor, as we were already a week past the due date. We discussed this and decided to return in 2 days to have the labor induced. We decided on this date as it was a very special date for her mother. This was the birth date of her grandfather, who had recently passed away. However, shortly after leaving the office, my daughter decided to make her appearance. I called the doctor's office and let them know what was happening, and the nurse advised us to come back to the office. As we arrived at the hospital, we were admitted into the labor and delivery ward. The nurses connected all the monitors to her mother and my daughter. This confirms that she is in labor. Slowly, the birthing process begins. I was very excited, scared, and nervous all at the same time. As I mentioned before, the process started very slow, but was going as planned, with no concerns. We had a good evening and night. We had visitors, dinner, and just talked all night, until about 6 a.m. My world began to crash around me at 6 a.m., as at this time, the hospital room door opened, with our doctor coming in and nurses running into the room. Alarms began to sound on the monitors that are recording my daughter's heart rate and her movements. The screen has now went from black to red, and all my daughter's heart rates started to drop. She was in distress along with her mother. My daughter's heart rate had dropped to 6 beats per minute. Quickly, things escalated. The doctor began working with her mother, and the nurses began preparing for hopefully a quick delivery. The family was asked to leave the room, all except for myself. As the doctor was discussing what he believed was happening to the nurses are administering medication to her mother to speed up the labor process. That also did not go as planned. Once the medication was administered to her mother was not allowed to move. She had to stay on her left side and try and help my daughter's heart rate stay in a normal range. Unfortunately, once the medication started to take effect, my daughter stopped moving and her heart rate is still dangerously low. Beginning at 6 a.m. until 9:49 a.m., I felt as if my world was ending. I felt every emotion and fear that any father could feel. Finally, at 9:49, my daughter was born. Although she was not crying, she was not moving, and she was very blue. My worst fear was happening. Her umbilical cord was around her neck twice, and this is why her heart rate was so low. Struggling to get the nurse's fingers between the umbilical cord and her neck, another nurse stepped in to help and was able to remove the cord. Immediately, the doctors and nurses began to work on my daughter. In the 30 seconds they worked on my daughter, which seemed like an hour, we finally heard the cry. Seen her move, and her color was coming back. And we are told she is going to be fine. When I was finally able to hold my daughter, it was the most wonderful experience of my life. The emotions I felt from thinking I had lost my world to now holding this amazing baby girl, whom has since become my world, was an unbelievable feeling. There is an instant love you have for your child once you see them and hold them. This is something that will never be forgotten. This beautiful little girl who had a terrifying start is now an extremely smart, wonderful, healthy young lady who lives for softball, loves her family, her friends, her life, and God. She has never met a stranger and is always the first person to help anyone she can. My girl had a start that I would not wish on anyone, but has lit up my life every day since. She truly is an inspiration to me, and to this day, Her birth is one of my most precious moments.